Welcome back to another episode of Tailgating with the Tullys. I'm CJ,
And I'm Ryan.
and today we're going to be discussing the upcoming MLB trade deadline.
Yeah, so I think that there are very many teams that are both sellers, buyers, and then you got a couple questionable teams that are, what do we do? Are we selling or are we buying? First team that I think is definitely a buyer and they have some holes in their pitching rotation is the Orioles. CJ, I know you have a lot of ideas of what the Orioles could do pitching-wise, especially with that farm system.
Yeah, looking at the Orioles farm system, Jackson Holliday is a big name out there that I think could be traded this year. Came up for about a week or two. Didn't really produce much. He got sent back down to AAA. Haven't really heard much about him since. I think looking at it, if the Orioles are all in this year, they should go for proven MLB talent like a Skubal or Crochet. And I feel like if you look at it, a player like Jackson Holliday could bring you a big enough of a name through the farm system that teams could look for him as a key piece in a trade.
Yeah, I agree with your opinions on the Crochet and Skubal market. I think that to get those kind of talent, you don't really have many opportunities to get that kind of talent. So if you want to go all in, especially, I know they just lost Kyle Bradish.
And you lose Burns after this year.
Burns. So getting Crochet, who I think has a couple years left of control. Skubal, who's a proven talent. Both of them all-stars. Just two guys that you really need to go into. I don't know if the Orioles are comfortable moving Jackson Holliday. Even aside from Jackson Holliday, they still have one of the best farm systems. So could definitely see them making some moves for the pitching.
Yeah, I think their only gap this year would be pitching. Everyone else seems to be clicking. Even Cedric Mullins, who was having a bad year, he's starting to pick it back up. So lineup looks solid. I think it's more about just padding your defense or your pitching for the playoffs.
I agree.
Another team that we could be seeing make some moves are the Dodgers. Pitching staff was taking a big hit throughout the year. They're looking to get Clayton Kershaw back, I believe, this week.
Glasnow is supposed to come back in a month or two, I think.
Moved James Paxton down to the minors.
I saw that.
After one bad start. But I could see them picking up an outfielder such as Jazz Chisholm or... Jazz Chisholm?
Jazz Chisholm. I think another one that a lot of people are talking about going to multiple teams is Brent Rooker, but I didn't hear much about him in the Dodgers. But Dodgers definitely have a lot of talent on that team already, and kind of a team that you wouldn't be expecting to be making a big move after they did so much in the offseason with getting guys like Hernandez, Ohtani, Yamamoto. But like you said, a lot of damage to the pitching rotation, so the rotation is definitely something that they should be focused on. A lot of rumors around Flaherty going there potentially, a reunion of Max Scherzer to the Dodgers.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think that would happen.
He'd have to waive his no trade clause. But, weirder things have happened. Max Scherzer kind of just floating around. The Mets are still paying his contract. So.
That is true. Another name I could see for the Dodgers, the other outfielder I was looking for there, couldn't quite catch him. Randy Arozarena.
Yes.
He's a big name. Really started off slow this year. Started to pick it back up. He is playoff Randy, so for a team just looking to make that push in the playoffs, the Dodgers haven't been able to get over that hump. Picking up a player like Randy Arozarena with proven playoff talent could bolster that lineup. Again, he doesn't need to be the best bat. They have that once Mookie comes back. But just having a proven outfielder out there would be really helpful for them.
Yeah, I think Dodgers are definitely a team that isn't really afraid to flash some cash every once in a while. So I don't think the money aspect of the salary cap is a big deal, even if they have to pay the guy a little bit or eat some contract. I don't think they really care about that.
Now, another team looking for outfield help could be the Yankees. Yankees are kind of a mystery team right now. They started off super hot, best team in the league, matching with the Phillies. Have kind of fallen off. They just got swept by the Mets. So they need to make some kind of a move. I know Pete Alonso's been rumored there. Jazz Chisholm is another one rumored there, but they're not so sure about his personality in the locker room. A move I would love to see the Yankees make would be Ryan McMahon of the Rockies.
Great player.
I think he's a great utility player. He can fill in any position they need. Got a solid bat, great defender. So somebody who could really just help them out throughout any position they need throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, I really like the Ryan McMahon move there. I'm not a big Yankees fan, but love to see good fits, and I think Ryan McMahon would be a perfect fit. He could play third base. I know Gleyber Torres has struggled on and off this year, so he could play second base. You could just move him around. He could even play first base. DJ LeMahieu's not really looking great. So
it gives me a lot of Troy Tulowitzki and Trevor Story kind of a vibe.
But that's just because of the Rocky little connection there for all of them.
That might be, but I don't know. I just get that vibe from him.
No, I can see that too.
Another big discussion would be the Pirates. They're kind of a borderline team right now. You have the great pitching staff. You have Skeens playing out of his mind.
Jared Jones.
But what do you do about that lineup?
Jared Jones also looking great. Yeah, they're a team that can do a lot. They have good power. I mean, O'Neal Cruz has shown, especially against the Phillies, that he can hit home runs. Rowdy Tellez is randomly raking this year. But something that a lot of people are looking for, a lot of teams are looking for, is that Brent Rooker bat, where you're getting pop and contact. Brent Rooker's shown that. Should have been an all-star. A lot of teams are rumored for Brent Rooker, but I could definitely see him fitting in the Pirates lineup at that 4 or 5 spot. Don't know if you liked him there, but that was...
I like him there. I could see Luis Robert there. I'm just not too sure how many moves will be made. I know there's a lot with Luis that the White Sox might just not end up trading him at all. But I do like a bat like Rooker there. I'm just not sure how many teams are going to touch these bigger name players. I mean, pitching you can move, but these bigger bats, I'm not sure, because they still have time on the contract, so I'm not sure how many are actually going to get tossed. I do think the Pirates should make moves, though. They spiraled out last year. They started to spiral out again this year, but with their pitching help, they've got a real shot at least a wild card spot, maybe the division with the weak division. So I don't think they should give up on this year. I think you still have maybe another year of a decent McCutcheon, so try and get as much as you can out of that. But other than that, I think most teams aren't going to be selling that big.
Yeah, I think with the Pirates, too, if you sneaky get into the playoffs, that 1-2 punch of Jones Skeens is untouchable.
That scares me as a Phillies fan, is playing the Pirates.
But I don't think they'd get past the wild card, and if I think their pitching would have to do way too much. I think their bats are too streaky to where if you added like a Rooker who's
just
having an absolutely amazing year, so I don't know.
But you look at Nick Gonzalez, he could get hot. Brian Hayes could get hot. O'Neal Cruz could. Brian Reynolds has been playing out of his mind. Another player we haven't talked about getting moved is Christian Walker. Could you see him get moved?
Struggling Diamondbacks team after being in the NLCS, which just like I said, I called that. I mean, they just weren't a good team.
They weren't good last year either.
Yeah, definitely could see Christian Walker being moved. Now, I feel like not a lot of people are even talking about him being moved, but they're on a team. He's on a team that is extremely struggling right now after being in the World Series. Don't really have anything going for them, I feel like, right now. So, I could even see other Diamondback players being moved.
Yeah, I could see Jock Peterson going back to the Braves. That would be my move, I think. Somebody like that. There was even talk about a whole reunion of Jorge Soler and Jock Peterson.
Wow.
I don't think Soler would get moved. He just got a big contract. But Jock Peterson, somebody who floats around every trade deadline. Braves looking for some kind of pop in that lineup. They're struggling mightily, especially after just losing
Ozzie
Albies. And
she's Whit, though.
They got Whit Merrifield, so still no pop. But I could definitely see them getting Jock Peterson back. Also, another former Diamondback, current White Sox. I can see Tommy Pham getting moved. Certainly not somebody I would want on my team. Kind of a locker room cancer. Definition of a mid player. I don't know if you have any thoughts on him.
No, but it's crazy that he went Jock Peterson then Tommy Pham after their little fantasy football feud. But
I do remember that.
Yeah, I genuinely he's one of my least favorite players in the league. I don't like Tommy Pham. Rumors towards the Phillies with him, just want to stay away from him. I don't even think he's that good of a player anymore. He had his run with the Reds, but not a big fan.
Yeah, another player rumored to be moved is Kevin Pillar and Taylor Walsh, right? Taylor Ward from the Angels. Again, players that don't add too much to your team, but I guess you're looking for defensive help. That's more where they would come in. Ward hasn't had a terrible year offensively, just not somebody I think you plug in as like, oh, we got Taylor Ward. Like he's not bringing you a big name. Another player, Luis Renifo from the Angels. I could see him being moved. He's a great utility player, hitting around 300. Not going to get you much pop, but he's a consistent contact bat. Had a little bit of injury issue to start the year, but he's back and he's playing great. So
yeah, Angels have a lot of guys that can be moved. Obviously, always a seller. A team that's just not very good. Renifo could be plugged in anywhere, like CJ said. You have Ward, Pillar, two players also rumored to go to the Phillies. Ward's definitely a better bat, but Pillar's having a weirdly good offensive season. Another player that's rumored from the Angels could be All-Star Tyler Anderson, who might be another player who could have a reunion with the Dodgers, a person that you could plug in to different rotations. Phillies, I wouldn't be surprised. If he could even go there just because he could be a bullpen arm, just get you some innings in the playoffs or something like that. So guy who could be moved around a little bit from bullpen or starter.
So before we get to our main event of who we think the Phillies will pick up, 2 questions. What are the Mets doing, and what are the Rangers doing?
Yeah, one team, I could see them being here. They just struggled a lot. But the former World Series champions, reigning champions, Texas Rangers, not someone I had on my bingo card being a possible seller at the deadline. But, yeah, they got a lot of good pieces that they could even be moving.
They haven't lost really anything since they won the World Series. The team is just not playing.
They're just not playing well.
No.
Like I said, Max Scherzer was a person that's been rumored to possibly be moved, but he would need his no trade clause moved. There's just the Mets even team that has just had no success in the last couple of years. A team that, as a Phillies fan, doesn't really worry me ever.
I think they're losing. I think they're losing 4 or 5 players who are just going to walk. At least just going to walk.
A lot of contracts that are expiring this year. Pete Alonso being the biggest one as a power bet.
Severino's going to be out. I think I know you're there, but you have to sell because if you're not buying, this team's not going anywhere. If you don't sell, you're just losing players when you could have gotten something. So I feel like it's a tough spot, but if you're looking at it grand scheme, I mean, I know they're in on Juan Soto for next year. If you're looking at a grand scheme of the Mets organization, you're not going to win the World Series. You're going to lose all these players. You have to sell. Yeah. I don't think it's really even. It shouldn't even be a conversation.
I get that, but the whole idea of you're close to the playoff spot. Once you make it, anything can happen. Because look at the Diamondbacks last year. I mean,
but look at them now. So they should.
I get that, but
is that what the Mets want? They have one shot.
Yeah, but that's really all any team has sometimes.
But then they have nothing next year. You could at least. I get that.
I think they should sell. I'm just saying, looking at it through the Mets' perspective, is this could be our only chance where if we sneak in and maybe have a shot at the title. Because if you look at the 2 teams in the last 2 teams from the NL, the Phillies, who are a fluky run, Diamondbacks were a fluky run. Obviously, the Phillies saw their run and got better. The Diamondbacks got worse. So if you look at it, you got that.
But again, Diamondbacks got worse on skill. They didn't get worse because they sold.
No,
that's the thing with the Mets. It's not next year we can just rebuild. You will have nothing next year if you don't trade. I mean, even trading Pete for 2 lower end, if you trade him for a Pilar or something, somebody who can still be MLB quality next year, not trade for farm pieces. You can still compete next year.
I think they would trade for farm pieces though, just because. Well, I think you got to go into a rebuild soon.
Well, then you think about it. It might be smart for them to do that. Braves, Nationals possibly, and Phillies are going to run the division for a bit. If you're the Mets, you might be better off waiting a 4-year out team to then become the top of the line.
Yeah, because look at the Nationals did that. They won the World Series and then they kind of fell into a rebuild. But they're starting to win these trades they made. They won the Juan Soto one. Yeah. Look at CJ Abrams doing amazing, James Wood doing amazing. So you look at these pieces that they sold their big piece. They sold Juan Soto after being a struggling team. And what do? They're not competing for the division right now, but they're working their way towards it.
They could have had the wild card this year if they really went in.
They didn't really make any moves. So if the Mets fall to that, I could see that, but. They're such a weird team. Yeah. I mean, you have one of the highest payrolls in the league, but you're fighting for a wild card spot with a team like the Pirates, who probably don't have half your payroll. Yeah. So, and the Pirates probably look better too.
Just for conversation, do the Rangers? So if this is going to be what happens with them, if they end up selling this year, do they ride out Simeon, Seager, and Garcia for their career? Or do you think those are ever players that could be traded?
I don't see them moving Adolis. I feel like he's kind of a staple there now.
I want him out. I want him out now.
You want him out?
As a fan, he's having a slump. He just needs a change of scenery.
Seager, I could see him staying there. I feel like Seager's not too far away from probably ending his, being, kind of
he'll be forgotten. I don't think he's going to be a Seager's retiring. I think he's going to be remember that guy Seager? I don't think he's going to go out.
Yeah, he's never been, the top player in the league, so... But no. I'm not saying he's bad. He won World Series MVP, but I'm just saying throughout a season he had his MVP runs, but then he got hurt. So that kind of because it's not gonna be an Andrew McCutchen retirement.
Right.
But and then Semien, I'm not a big fan of Marcus Semien at all. I just don't like him.
He's very middle of the pack right now.
Yes, but They have some good pieces.
They have young talent.
They got-
Evan Carter's kind of fizzling.
I can't believe that.
Wyatt
him-
Langford's good.
Wyatt Langford's amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
But Kevin Carter, just want to point this out here. Thought that guy was going to be Rookie of the Year. I don't even know if he starts anymore. But
I couldn't tell you honestly.
I think Wyatt Langford took over his spot. But
Right, third base.
no,
I know Josh Smith.
Yeah, Josh Smith, who's having a
He's
really,
great.
really
Yeah.
good year too. But
Heim's solid still.
yeah, so they have talent. I don't see them moving any of those big pieces. I feel like it'd be more pitcher wise, like Evaldi. I don't know why we didn't talk about Evaldi, but Evaldi, I heard
He could be on the move.
possible rumors. Maybe he goes back to the Red Sox. He could go to the Dodgers. There's a couple
Watch him
places
pull
he
it
could
out
go.
and come to the Phillies.
Evaldi?
Somehow.
There would be no reason for him to go. He actually does have success in the postseason as a reliever with the Red Sox. So
Speaking of the Red Sox, I think that's another team that shouldn't sell and shouldn't stay put. I think they should make a push because you look at that division. You have the Orioles, World Series contender, Yankees, World Series contender. This is kind of your time to slip in as just a wild card and kind of get a feel, maybe make a push. As I don't know, the first year you don't have to worry about the Rays.
Yeah.
Toronto's they should sell. That's a
Yeah,
whole other
yeah.
thing. They're terrible. Bo Bichette is hurt, so I don't think he'll get moved. I don't think Vlad will actually.
I think they should move Vlad.
I don't
I
think there's
his
enough
run
talk.
there is done. I just don't think they've done anything
Yeah.
in his little run that he's.
They're killing his career for sure, but I don't think.
I
they'll
think
move
they
him.
should move him to help his career and to help because he's not having a horrible year. So you might get some good stuff for him before he maybe. I don't know. I just think that you gotta sell.
I think the division's just gonna be too good for too long to like. I don't think
I think
Toronto or the Rays are gonna compete in that division for a long time.
Think so either. Because even the Red Sox, while they're not gonna, I don't think they'll ever win the division. They'll always be there.
Yeah, I mean,
As
you
like
have
a wild card
Devers is
spot.
always going to be solid. Duran's now come on as something.
Just want to point out, go
Jared
off
Duran.
Duran.
F him.
Be-
F him.
F him because this guy. I remember 2 years ago the Ramil Tapia home run. This guy was so depressed. He was sitting there in the outfield as the ball lands 40 yards behind him. People were calling for his head, and guess what? This guy's an all-star. Could be a potential star of the MLB. I'm
big on him being a possible face of the MLB.
I think there's way too much young talent with you got like Gunnar, Bobby Witt Jr. So, just way too much talent in the
Those
league,
are all
but-
pretty boys. I see Jaron Duran as like your hard nosed.
No, yeah.
You always root for him.
He strikes me as blue collar baseball player.
He is blue collar.
Like that
Get him on the
tough-
Phillies. Get
tough,
him that
rough
blue
guy.
collar City Connect.
But yeah, I could see the Red Sox making some acquisitions here at the deadline.
I could too. And they have solid pitching. I mean, you have Houck, you have Crawford, who's kind of trickled off, but you have and Pavetta's been solid for them.
Another weirdly good player.
Philly should have never traded him at that point. But like you have solid pitching. I think it's a year where you can kind of make a run if you play your cards right.
Yeah.
All right, so leading us to our main event here, the hell are the Phillies going to do? Are we making a move? We are terrible right now.
We've won 3 games in our last 3 series.
Since what, the All-Star break?
No,
before that because of the
We
A's.
lost 2 games to the A's. We dropped 2 to the Pirates, and we dropped 2 to the Twins. Which the Twins are good, but all winnable games.
Yeah.
All winnable games.
Well, in the Pirates games, they didn't even have Skeens or Jared Jones pitching.
Exactly,
And we
so-
sold them all in late in the game.
Yeah, so, and the A's games, I mean, I know that
18 to 2.
I know they kind of forfeited that last game just by, they had no care. They didn't care. But, I mean, you have to make a move. I think the bottom of the lineup is looking awful. Bryson Stott, love the guy.
Terrible.
Cute as Phil. But, oh my God, the guy can't swing a
He has a
bat.
crooked nose. He ain't the cutest.
The guy can't swing a bat. He's great defensively, and if you could have a designated fielder, he's the guy I'd want. But, oh my God, it's so bad watching him swing the bat right now. He looks awful. He's taking pitches down the middle, which last year he was one of the best players at taking at best. Like, he would watch good pitches go. And when he was leading off, he was doing amazing. He was fouling off a lot of pitches. He's the guy. He was your like dream leadoff hitter. Speed, could pop, had pop, and could work counts. But now, I mean, the guy's striking out in 3 pitches. He
Yep.
looks awful.
Well, I just look at it as the Phillies right now have about 5 automatic outs that will play in this lineup in the playoffs, possibly.
If you're talking about Castellanos,
Castellanos is
Get away
not.
from him.
No, I love Castellanos.
Okay.
He's not in this 5.
Marsh.
Okay. He wasn't necessarily
Marsh
in it as
looks.
well.
Marsh
He looks awful right now.
now.
But his bat is decent.
No,
He
I
could give you something.
think
All
it
right,
looks worse
count,
at the plate.
count Marsh.
Marsh.
Rojas, Pache, Stott, Stubbs. If that guy ever touches the field again,
If he ever touches the
I'm going to
field,
lose it.
if he
Put
sniffs-
him
if
in a
he-
beer case, and that's all he should be able to do.
If he plays on the field or makes a comment again about jumping in the pool, I'm gonna lose it.
The fact that Marshawn isn't on an MLB roster right now is absolutely crazy. The fact that Stubbs is an MLB rostered player and not DFA'd because he has a mustache and is a cool little fella in his little onesie at the end is absolutely ridiculous. Like that is Charlie Manuel and like old Jimmy Rollins vibe right there, and that's what sold the Phillies for so long.
I love Garrett Stubbs as a person, as a player. Makes me
throw
up. But
you have too many outs for a World Series contending team. Your entire bottom of your lineup is an out.
After Castellanos.
Well, not even Castellanos, because isn't Stott before Castellanos?
No, they dropped Stott.
That's even worse then, because now you're getting away from a lefty righty.
No, it's still lefty righty, but it's Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Bohm, Marsh, Castellanos, Stott.
Oh, Marsh, I see.
But
yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's too many outs. I think the guy who I've been saying this whole time you need to get is Brent Rooker. He takes out that possibility of having Marsh and Rojas in the lineup at the same time. He's going to bring you great pop. He's got 20 home runs. He's got great average. He's got better average than half the Phillies right now.
He showed you what you could do in Citizens Bank Park, too, when he was here. That is Red October.
He was like, all right, you guys don't want me?
Yeah.
Well, let me give you a case right here and hit, 4 home runs in the series? I mean, the guy literally said, take me. This is what I got.
Yeah. The fact that he's not a Philly yet is crazy.
It makes you
He took the plane ride. Or no, he didn't take the plane ride.
No, Mason Miller. Another guy.
But he was there. He was in town.
If Mason Miller didn't punch his stupid table, might have been moved to the Phillies. I don't know how long his injury is. He might.
About 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Well, from experience, yeah. Fractured finger.
So I don't know if he's still going to pitch this year. I mean, if not, that sucks because he's...
Is it his pitching hand?
No, it wasn't his pitching
No, they're rolling the ball back. He can still throw.
But watching that guy live, I want him on my team.
Yeah, watching him throw...
Disgusting.
His at-bats, it's like you just knew they were out. Like
him versus Brandon Marsh.
Nobody touched
Brandon Marsh already sucks.
Yeah, Marsh wasn't even in his body at that point. He was out, and just the body was standing there trying to take these pitches.
Like, you can't even make contact with it.
No.
104,
yeah, that's crazy.
3 pitches. Like, if you're I think if you make contact with it, you should just go to first base, because that's
how I feel when I play the show. If I make contact, that's a win. But no, there has to be some kind of move. I'm seeing a lot about Lane Thomas from the Nationals and possibly a Finnegan.
Kyle Finnegan.
Kyle Finnegan.
Yeah, I think that the moves that have to be made for the Phillies are bullpen and outfield. I just think our outfield with Rojas, I strongly dislike Rojas. I don't care how mediocre his
But it's
glove is.
plays like what Marsh just did yesterday that are going to keep Rojas' ass on this team.
Yes, because what the heck was that? Brandon Marsh gets to the ball. The inning was over.
Mm-hmm.
But no. He's trying to ruin Matt Strom's ERA. And I don't appreciate that because that's ridiculous. But yeah, you got Marsh and Rojas and Pache. I don't like any of them. Marsh is another great guy, but like learn how to swing the bat. And then you have the bullpen, which I don't care how good Sir Anthony Dominguez is doing this year. I don't feel comfortable when he's out there. I don't feel comfortable when
Soto,
Gregory throw the ball to the freaking back of the wall, or Jose Alvarado. I lost all faith in him after the Yordan Alvarez home run.
I would have put him in past the 6th inning at this point, 7th inning.
He stresses me out because I always said, yeah, he might stress me out, but he's going to throw strikes. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if he's going to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. There's only 2 pitchers I feel comfortable with in our bullpen right now. Or 3, sorry.
Oh,
Kerkering, Strom, and Hoffman.
Yep.
And
Hoffman's lights out. You can put that man in, I feel the game is over.
I feel that way with Strom because his walkout
I don't
song
trust Strom.
No, his walkout song gives me chills.
That's
it's how bad do you want it?
We're plugging now.
It's so good.
I know on Spotify or wherever you find your music.
I highly recommend listening to it and then like going to do like a workout because it gets me pumped.
Yeah.
But
my fear is, and as it is every year with Philly sports, but this is I'll preface it by saying us losing these last few games and embarrassing ourselves. I feel like you have to make a move. Like if we cooked, I feel like that's what happens usually with Philly teams. We're so good, we have what we have. We don't need to make a move. I feel like with us playing so poorly and getting the like attention of fans and people being like, are the Phillies really that team? Dave's got to make a move. I feel like you can't just sit back now that it's drawn so much attention that you're falling off.
Yeah.
Again, if the Braves had a right and a left foot and they weren't just tripping over themselves and could actually compete in this division, I feel like it'd be even more relevant. But I think we're still up 9 games on them, so it's not that blatant. But you got to do something.
Yeah, I think all Philly sports teams do this is they feel so comfortable when it comes to these deadlines. Like last year, I think there were a couple holes that the Phillies could have filled, and you know what we did? We got Michael Lorenzen, who didn't play in the postseason. I get he got his no-hitter, and that was a beautiful moment. I almost cried. But the guy did nothing in the postseason. He didn't help your team. You already knew you were going to make the playoffs. The thing you needed was what are we gonna do in Red October? And then getting the Rodolfo Castro move was probably the most ridiculous thing to do at the trade deadline. That was we need someone, so let's make the fans happy by getting this guy who might be good. And like his tryout was awful.
In hindsight, you would have been better off keeping Bailey Falter just as a bullpen arm.
Well, I don't know why
Castro didn't touch the field in the playoffs.
You didn't even use Lorenzen in the playoffs. So like I don't get.
He's another guy that can be moved. By the way, that's a big talk that he could be moved.
I would be fine getting him back, but use him. But use him.
Same with Dave Robinson. He's another one who could be moved from them.
Screw Dave Robinson. I'm so sick of this. I can't do a third time because I will never forget when the Phillies were 4-0 and he walked in the game-winning run.
Changed the entire season.
Yep, I was feeling it that year.
That was the year. All right, so final prediction on who the Phillies will have.
Who the Phillies are gonna get?
Yes.
My guess is it's gonna be like Luis Robert, who I was so high on, but then once I saw
talks fell off so hard.
Well, it's just he's not doing that good, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, because there was the whole controversy, he didn't throw the ball in on that. I forget who they were playing, but he didn't throw the ball in, and they're like, well, if he's on another team, I don't want that anyway. If you're on a losing team, still throw that ball in, okay?
Get yourself out of that position.
Exactly. So I want Rooker, and I'm saying Rooker or bust at this point because I want left field secured where it's a guy that every single day he's going to be a for sure right-handed power bat.
This is going to pain me to say. I feel like we only end up with this Finnegan fella just because that's the most Phillies thing to do.
That's fine, though.
That's not fine. You don't have a bat. If you look at it,
all right, bullpen, so
that's fantastic. But if your team's not scoring, I mean, Harper's been 0-for. Trey is literally carrying the team. Schwarber is falling off. And Castellanos. But when you're not producing runs by your big names, we can't have all these, like, you're not getting nothings from in the bottom of the lineup. You need to add a bat to secure that. So maybe if Harper isn't playing well in the playoffs or Schwarber isn't walking and getting on base or hitting a home run, then what? You have nothing.
Maybe you get the package of Lane Thomas and Kyle Finnegan. But
I would honestly take that as a huge win.
Yeah, but I feel like Lane Thomas, he might be good on the Nationals. He's going to be Christian Pache once he gets here.
He's not. Nobody's going to be Christian Pache.
That's my fear. I want
anyone but Tommy Pham or Kevin Pillar to me right now is a positive.
That's why I only want Robert and what's called Rooker because they're power bats and I know what I'm getting out of them. These other dudes, I don't know what I'm getting. Like at least I get Robert gets hurt all the time, but maybe if he was in the red pinstripes, not the black pinstripes, maybe he, cooks a little bit.
Yeah. All right, well, leave us comments down below. Follow us on Instagram at Tailgating with the Tullies. We will be back next week with another episode, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, see you guys.